What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we're going to look at my Madden NFL 26 Playbooks page, and we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to focus on concepts, play types, formations, personnel. I have enough data tables and information to where you can easily narrow down the type of playbook that you are looking for. Now, over on my PlaybookGamer.com site, you can always go over to Playbooks and you can go find this page. I'll have a link in the description below. And my College Football 26 Playbooks page is very popular and very useful. And this page is no different for all you Madden fans. So at the very beginning, you got your table of contents, a lot of different sections. You can always just select the section, go straight to that. And you can always hit the bottom right button down here to go back to the very top if needed. This is a very large page, and I have tables that take a little bit to load, so be patient with it. But once everything's loaded up, you should be good to go. I want to start off at the very top with Playbooks. And I have playbooks down here. I only have team offensive playbooks. I'm going to get the team defensive playbooks. I'm also going to get the alternate playbooks in time if there's like enough requests for it. I'll definitely get the offensive alternate playbooks. There's like 10 of them that are pretty cool. But you can use this if you want to just look for a playbook as a whole. This is one advantage my site has over a few other sites where you can go find specific plays. But this is just a nice little summary of what an entire playbook looks like. And of course, you can always join the vault. That's where my Google Drive folder is at. You can have full access to these if needed. But there are a couple other sites too, like huddle.gg's got a really good page that's got a good selection. You can go select the plays, you can go search for those plays. Man School's the same way. So you got plenty of options to go look up playbooks and plays and such. So that is the playbook section. Let's talk about team schemes. Now, in the game, they have offense. They got different types like spread, West Coast zone run, or West Coast power run. I don't know how useful this information is, honestly. You're going to find out really quickly. In NFL, all these playbooks are very similar to each other. It's the same handful of coaches that have known each other forever and ever. One gets fired, he just gets moved over to another one. So you're going to see a lot of similar playbooks. So again, I don't know if this type of offense is going to make that much of a difference for you. Now, the defense could be a little bit more helpful. At least it kind of helps to know what that type of defense or team wants to run. Like for the Bengals, they like to run a base 4-3. But I have sections here and filters that you can use. You can always just narrow down by a couple of different, teams if you need to, and that narrows it down there. You can always hit this X button to refilter everything. Offense, if you're really into like the vertical power run, you can see which teams apparently run that. Apparently that's the Lions. They're the only team that runs that type of offense. And same with the defense, you could do the same thing. And of course, you got the search button. So again, this is just team playbooks and the schemes they like to run on both sides of the ball. Next up, we got formations and sets. This is pretty much the entire formation list, and for every playbook, what it has. So, of course, you can just search by playbook if you need to. You can also search by the type of formation. Like if you're a big gun ace fan, you can select that, and boom, you narrowed it down to the balance, alternate playbook, Cardinals, run heavy, and the Vikings. And that just really makes things even easier if you just have to have that particular formation. You can also do it by personnel, which I find pretty interesting. Like if you're really into 13 personnel, you can kind of go by that and see exactly which formations a particular playbook has of a 13 personnel formation. But we got a personnel section that's going to be a little bit more helpful than this. But either way, if you just need to find a particular formation, well, here you go. This table will do that for you. Then we also have the type of formation pretty much by set, more or less. You got your gun formations, pistol, single, I formation, so on and so forth. So you can sort these and you can see the shotgun alternate playbook, shockingly enough, has the most amount of gun formations. The least amount apparently has pistol with none. Singleback doesn't have any. And you go like the pistol, who has the most? Obviously the pistol. Then you got air raid. But if you want like a good team playbook with enough pistol, maybe you want to go check out the Dolphins playbook. What about singleback? Plenty of singleback in this game. Of course, the singleback alternate playbook's going to have the most, followed by balance. But then the Rams, and then run balance, West Coast, Broncos. There's plenty of singleback love to go around in this game. I formation, if you want to keep a little old school, The two-back alternate playbook is going to be really good for that, followed by the Dolphins, run balance, Seahawks, and the 49ers. Same with strong. Outside of that two-back look, you're not going to find much of the strong formation, and run heavy's got a little bit. This particular formation type has gone by the wayside. What's even more gone by the wayside is like the weak formations. But again, if you really love that old school I, strong and weak, you can't go wrong with two-back. Split back, that's real old school. This is West Coast type stuff. Good luck finding anything that's going to have that. Like the West Coast should have some of that. But you go to the near and the far, again, West Coast playbook. You're going to find it all there, and you go back to the far section, West Coast. Again, that's why you pick that playbook, is to get as close to the Bill Walsh offense as you can. The full house formation, there's only 3 playbooks to have it: balance, and run heavy. Power I, if you need to go that route, looks like the run heavy playbook has it. Split T, you got Chargers and the Raiders. Chip Kelly, he likes that look. Now, he's no longer there. He got fired. But needless to say, if you like the split T, go between those 2 playbooks. And if you need a little wildcat, there's only a handful of playbooks that have it: Eagles, run balance, run a gun, Saints, and the Titans. So that's a pretty useful table. Here we got the defensive formations. There's not going to be many as these. Again, I'm going to get the playbooks for the defense on the site eventually. They're all pretty similar to each other, though. I mean, yes, some playbooks and styles are a little bit different than others. But again, if you need to look up a particular playbook that's got a particular formation, you can easily find it there. Now let's talk about personnel, one of my favorite things to talk about. So personnel, you always see those numbers like 11 personnel. The first digit is how many running backs are in the formation. The second digit is how many tight ends. So for 11 personnel, that's 1 back and 1 tight end. This is the most popular personnel grouping in the game. And as you would imagine, every one of these playbooks are going to have plenty of it. But the spread, shotgun mix, alternate playbooks have plenty of those, followed by the Chiefs, the Giants, the Rams. If you don't need that much 11 personnel, you may want to go look at the 2-back, obviously. You can just keep going and just kind of notice, like if you're really into 4 wide receiver looks, of course, the run and shoot playbook's going to have plenty. But you may want to check out the air raid, the Bears, and the shotgun mix playbooks. You go to 12 personnel, the 2 tight end love. You got Cardinals, Dolphins, Raiders. This is probably the second most popular personnel grouping in the game. Then you get into like your 3 tight end looks. Obviously, the single back's going to pretty much house all of those those 13 personnel formations. 20 personnel, 2-back, air raid, Commanders, Washington. Then you got 21, and just so on and so forth. We got the gadget section. I don't know how many people use these. I know this is more prevalent in college football, 26, but the shotgun alternate playbook is going to have a couple of those. The heavy look, that's when it gets into like a 3rd or like a 6th extra offensive lineman. They kind of like to dump those there. And if you need to run a little wildcat, there's not much in this game, but you got the Eagles, run balance, run a gun, Saints, and Titans. Let's go on to the next one. All right, actual plays. So in your playbook section, you got the play type section and the concepts. Play types, the game does a whole lot better job of organizing plays. There's no duplication. Everything is accounted for, so kind of keep that in mind. So here are the main types: pass, run, option, and RPO. You can select and sort these, and the Bengals have the most amount of pass plays in the game, if that matters to you. You can also look at the least amount, the run and shoot. That doesn't mean it's a bad playbook. It just means it doesn't have that many. Of course, with the run and shoot, you got all those option routes that pretty much act as multiple plays. The run game, if you're serious about the run game, you just need a ton of options. 2-back, Ravens, Chargers, Seahawks, and so forth. Option. You're not going to see a ton of option in this game, but if you really need some, obviously the Ravens are going to have the most because of Lamar Jackson. Then you got Jane Daniels and the Commanders with 30 of them. And then you got pistol. Now, this is true option. This is separate from RPO. And speaking of, if you need a ton of RPOs, oddly enough, the alternate playbooks are going to have the most: spread, air raid, shotgun mix, and then you can get into the Eagles and the Commanders and Raiders and so on and so forth. Now, here's what's really interesting. A lot of these playbooks are going to feel similar, and they're going to look similar because look at the top 10 or so. They are maxed out at 459. You need to get the 456. Again, all these are the team playbooks for the most part. And again, they just have them capped them as such, which I thought was kind of interesting. But if you need a smaller playbook, the smallest one is the run and shoot, which is pretty typical. Air raid is usually not considered too heavy. But notice your top 6 or 7 with the least amount. It's the alternate playbook. So if you just don't need a heavy playbook, but you need something to work with, you may want to check out those alternates. Let's get into more specifics with play types. Let's talk about the run game. Inside runs. Everybody and their brother has inside runs of some sort. As you would imagine, you got like that 2-back alternate playbook. The Chargers, of course, with Jim Harbaugh with his spread West Coast or his Power Coast offense. The Ravens with some of that option built into it. Of course, that's not part of this column. But again, if you just need plenty of inside run, there you go. Outside run, I really enjoy outside run. Not many teams use it, but the Dolphins, 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, wide zone. Everybody who keeps up with the NFL knows he's a wide zone guy. The Rams, Sean McVay, he is a disciple of Kyle Shanahan, so it's not shocking that they have plenty of wide zone. So any of these up here, it's probably of the Shanahan tree. If you into toss plays, they're not very popular in this game. The Chargers has the most with just 10. Again, that's just not a really high amount. If you're into counter, you got 23 from pistol. Then you got the 2-back run balance bounce. Notice a lot of these are your alternate playbooks before you get into the team ones. But if you're going to have that much counter, you're going to have some power, which is built into the inside section. If you're into draw, run balance, spread, balance, pistol, run heavy. Oddly enough, they're all the alternate playbooks. But most of these have it between like 9 to 12 if you're going to talk about those team playbooks. Fullback runs, not the biggest type of play in the world, but 2-backs and West Coast have way more than everybody else. And of course, you got a couple other alternates. The fullback, they're just used to block nowadays. Sometimes they'll throw it to them. QB runs. I think this is kind of an important column if you really want to run that quarterback. Oddly enough, the Ravens, there you go. Lamar Jackson's going to be right there. But the Jets have 12 designed QB runs. We're talking like QB zone, QB power, ones who just don't have to deal with actual option plays, and the Cardinals and Eagles. Speaking of option, this is the same ones we looked at earlier. I just brought them over here as well. That way you can have them all in one spot. Let's talk about the passing game. We got all your passes and RPOs. The quick. Now, some people think, oh, this is all of your slant and stick. That's not the case. This is a lot of like jet sweeps and like really quick stuff. It's kind of weird how these games organize the quick section. You're actually better off in the concept section looking at quicks. But anyway, expect to see like some jet sweep type stuff in here. That's a pretty good indicator of where some of that may be for the most part. Standard. This is all of your under center drop back. Thankfully, we got plenty of playbooks that got plenty of what you need here. Of course, all of the top ones are going to be these alternate playbooks. But if you need a good team playbook for under center drop back, Browns, Bills, Seahawks, 49ers, and so forth. Of course, everybody and their brother likes to be in the shotgun throwing the ball, and we are in no less amount of what you need here with the Bengals, gun, Chiefs, Falcons. It's just plenty of gun passing plays. Play action, very important in the NFL world, and it doesn't shock me that we got 70 plus play actions for a ton of these. Look at these. The bulk of these are going to have a lot of play action, as it should. That's what the NFL is kind of known for. Just pro-style offense, and play action is really built off of that. So if you need a ton of play action, or if you need like a specific team playbook, you may want to check out the Dolphins, the Ravens, and Seahawks, and Broncos. A good screen game. You can't have too many of those. This is old school screens, non-RPO stuff. Spread, Raiders, Giants, Packers, Patriots, so on and so forth. But if you need some RPOs, we could break it down a little bit more with like RPO reads. Spread. The Giants apparently are into the RPO reads, air raid, and Colts. What about the peaks, like your backside slants and little ends and such? Spread, Panthers, gun mix, and the Rams. RPO alert tends to be the most popular of the bunch. The Bills, oddly enough, has as many as any playbook in the game, followed by air raid, gun mix, commanders. We've been saying the word commanders a lot. It's just to end this, they just got a lot of weird, funky stuff in there with Raiders, Eagles, some good, other RPO alerts if you need them. Let's talk about actual concepts. Now, I don't break down to the second level because when it comes to this game and like college football 26, there's a lot of duplication, and sometimes they just put plays in the wrong spot. But we can look at the overall look of these concepts. So all of your basic runs, and this is a glitch. I need to change that number. I'm pretty sure it's 95 and not 995. I'll have to go to check out the number, see what that is. But if you want to look and see who's got the most amount of basic runs, there you go. Same with option. Now, option includes actual option and RPO. So if you need a nice little mix, you may want to check out these handful of playbooks. All right, quick game. What we talked about earlier, this is actual quick game. Slant, stick, scat, hitch, things of that nature. Boom. The Bills apparently have a plethora of quick passing plays if you're into the quick game. Medium pass. This is going to be quite interesting. The Chiefs makes complete sense. Like their entire offense is built around these medium pass plays, followed by the Bengals. Joe Burrow, what does he like to do? Spread out and just run 10-yard stuff, 5 to 10 all the time. Deep game. Expect a lot of these playbooks to be like run play action heavy. There's the Rams. 151, like to do those jet sweeps. What they do off those jet sweeps, ton of play action. The Titans and the Giants and the Patriots and so on and so forth. Speaking of, these are actual play action concepts. We're talking boots and slides. So if you're really specific about your play action concepts, you may want to check out these particular playbooks and see how much boot and slide they have. And then you have basic screens. This is screens and RPOs combined. So if you just need more screens than you can handle, that spread playbook is by far the best. Like almost a 30 play gap, which is crazy. But if you're into other screens, if you need a team playbook, you may want to go check out like the Raiders, the Giants, and the Bengals. So that's it. That's all I have. I'll have any videos. I'll dump it down here. But again, just make full use of this page. It's there for you to find the playbooks that you were looking for. And this is actually more needed than like other games like College Football 26, because a lot of these playbooks in this game, I'll just be honest, just look very similar to each other. But if you're really into, hey, I need a particular type of thing, this playbook or this page should definitely help you out. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.